Do not stop at exit 23. If your fuel light comes on near mile marker 187 after midnight, keep driving. If your GPS chirps to reroute because of debris on road, ignore it. Whatever you do, do not take exit 23. For 12 years, they called it coincidence. They told families that cars break down, that people wander, that cameras glitch in the rain. But the map doesn't lie, and neither do the timestamps. Between 2011 and 2023, 8 drivers vanished within a 3-mile radius of exit 23, on a stretch of interstate most people only know as a blur of concrete and orange sodium lights. Their cars were found idling with a half cup of gas and a receipt printed 40 minutes earlier from the truck stop coffee machine, 2 sugar packets ripped open on the console. They did not find Lydia. A report noted boot impressions in the mud, but the rain turned every edge to mush. The vest, if there ever was one, was never recovered. Her case went from priority to pending, to the bottom third of a cardboard banker's box, where the blotter ink bled through in a blooming gray. 2 years later, August 2013, a mechanic named Howard pulled off at exit 23 to stretch his legs after a 16-hour haul. His dashcam caught the glow of a flare guttering on the shoulder and a figure waving both arms. Howard slowed, then thought better of it, and eased back into the lane. On the audio, you hear him mutter, "Not tonight," and then the speaker picks up a faint tap, 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 like someone's knuckles skimming paint. The next day, his passenger side door wore 3 clean marks down to primer.
If this were just one exit in the middle of nowhere, the story might have faded into internet rumor. But Exit 23 sits at the seam of 3 agencies that rarely compare notes unless there's blood on the asphalt. City police handled the truck stop lot and the ramp base. County deputies covered the frontage road and the field. State troopers claimed the overpass and everything from mile 186 to 188. When a car is found empty and running, it's a welfare check. When a person is missing, it's paperwork. By 2016, message boards had their theories. A fake construction crew, a pair of tow truck imposters with borrowed lights, someone using a decoy car and an orange vest to make fear feel like relief. The victims skewed young and alone, driving home from shifts or long visits, but not exclusively. One of them, a retired teacher named Ruth, texted her daughter a photo of a handwritten cardboard sign propped on the shoulder. Help ahead. The photo's metadata puts it at 3:03 a.m., 8 minutes before her phone went dark. I'm going to tell you how this pattern finally broke, and how we learned what lived in the blind spot of exit 23. But before I do, you need to feel what the families felt every time they pulled up to an idle car and an empty driver's seat. You need to stand in that sodium orange and hear the hiss of wet tires and the whistle of passing rigs. You need to know why we say the rule out loud, even now, like it's a prayer. Do not stop. Mara was 25 in 2019 when her fuel light blinked 2 exits before the truck stop. She had driven that interstate her whole life, knew the lull between midnight and 4 when the road is a ribbon and time loses shape. Her mother had said the same thing mothers say everywhere: text me when you get there. Mara's last text read, "Be there by 2:15. At 2:37 a.m., a highway camera, one of the few that worked, caught her sedan passing the ramp marker for exit 23 without slowing. At 2:41 a.m., however, her hazards were on. The car sat on the shoulder, nose angled toward the loop. On the dash cam of a trucker, you can see a shadow step into the wash of the headlights and lift an arm, palm out. The trucker slides by. 20 seconds later, a second shadow crosses in front of Mara's car, pauses at her window, and bends at the waist like someone peering in. The lens flares as the truck passes, and the figures dissolve into light. She should have been the 9th. She wasn't. What happened next is why you're hearing this at all. Mara rolled her window down 2 inches, slid her phone to video, and whispered the rule to herself 3 times before speaking aloud.
"I'm good," she said, just loud enough to carry through the cracked glass. "My husband's on the line with the highway patrol." "Pop the hood," the man in the vest said.
He kept his hands visible, fingers splayed, an almost theatrical calm. "You're smoking from the rear. I can keep you from seizing the engine." Mara angled the phone so its camera stared up past the doorframe and caught his shoulder, the sliver of his jaw, the edge of the vest striping. In the mirror, she watched a second figure drift along the guardrail, head down, like a man walking a dog that wasn't there. "I'm going to stay in the vehicle," Mara said. "They told me not to get out." "Then turn off the engine," he said. "Hazards will still work. Safer that way." The second figure paused by her rear quarter panel. Metal clicked softly, like a tool touching chrome. Her mother's rule: if the person insists you do something now, you tell them you'll do it when the trooper arrives. If they truly want your safety, they'll agree. If they want you, they won't. "I'll wait for the trooper," Mara said. "Thank you." The man smiled without showing teeth. "Then roll it down a hair more so I can hear you. It's loud." Mara put the car in drive. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The vest's reflective tape glowed a flat, cold white, like eyes in a flash photo. Then she nudged the pedal. The car crept forward. The second figure's hand slid along the trunk. The man in the vest stepped sideways and slapped the hood with his palm, a dull thud swallowed by rain hiss. "Don't," he said, voice dipping, the theater gone. "You'll ruin the—" Mara pressed harder. Her tires spit water. The car shouldered back into the lane, the wheel vibrating under her grip as the rumble strip passed beneath her. In the rear camera, a pair of headlights swung out, the sedan that had been parked on the shoulder arcing into pursuit. 911, what's your emergency?" She didn't remember punching the numbers, only the operator's voice like a lifeline snapping taut. "Gray sedan, no front plate, exit 23, 2 males, one wearing a reflective vest, new looking. They tried to get me to pop the hood. They're following me. Can you see the plate on the rear? Covered in mud, maybe deliberate. It looks smeared. Keep driving. Do not stop. Are you near a mile marker?" "Just past 188. "Okay, trooper staging at the way station at 190. Can you make it?" The sedan surged, closed, then drifted back. Its headlights bobbed too fast, like the driver's knee was jiggling. The second figure must have been the driver. The man with the vest sat passenger, turned toward her, one elbow on the window, unhurried. "They're trying to box me," Mara said. "He's pointing to the shoulder, like, pull over." "Do not comply. Maintain speed. If they attempt to make contact, tap your brakes twice to flash your lights. Do not slow significantly. Is there anyone else on the road with you?" A truck loomed in her mirror, high grille bright with marker lights. Instinct said yield. The operator said, "Let it pass. Use it as a buffer." Mara slid right. The truck slid left, putting its bulk between her and the sedan. For 3 long seconds, the world was only noise and white spray. Then the truck cleared, the sedan tucked in behind her again, closer this time. "They're still there," Mara said. "We're coming up on exit 24. "Take 24, not 23, the operator said. "Make them choose. If they stay on you, we have eyes at the ramp." Mara signaled. The sedan's blinker clicked too, a mirror of hers. She held steady in the lane, waited until the gore point almost kissed her bumper, then jerked the wheel just enough to ride the painted chevrons, skipping the ramp at the last instant. The sedan committed, nose-diving onto the exit. Its brake lights flashed a frantic staccato as it tried to climb back up the shoulder and lost speed. She exhaled for the first time in a minute. At mile 190, a trooper's cruiser sat angled across the shoulder with blue bars chewing rain into strobes. Mara pulled in behind. Her hands wouldn't let go of the wheel until the trooper tapped the glass and held up his open palm, mirroring the man in the vest. But this time his uniform soaked dark and real, and his badge caught the light. He walked her through her breath and then her memory. How tall? Taller than me. Accent? Neutral. Age? 30, 40. The vest? Shiny, like out of the bag. The crease lines were still there. Gloves? Green, not leather, that sticky kind mechanics use. Smell? Diesel, and something sweet, like fake cherry. Anything else? She hesitated. He whistled once, 3 notes, like a signal. The other man moved when he did it. The trooper's jaw tightened. You did good. We've had some issues at 23. He didn't say what kind. Within the hour, 2 cruisers rolled the ramp at exit 23 with their takedowns on. Rain pooled at the shoulder where Mara had sat. Farther up, tucked into the mouth of the loop, they found a plastic tote shoved under a collapsed roadwork ahead sign. Inside, 3 reflective vests. 2 were mud-streaked. One was new, its fold still sharp. A coil of nylon rope, 6 green nitrile gloves, 2 roadside flares with the caps still on, a triangle reflector, a small pry bar wrapped in a rag. At the bottom, a lanyard with a broken plastic clip and a faded key fob for a Ford. Everything was wet. The tote had no lid. If there were prints, the rain had licked them clean. The next morning, Mara returned with her mother and friend to pick up her car. She showed the trooper her video. It wasn't much. Grainy light, rain starbursts, the ghost of a shoulder and a jaw, the vest's reflective tape blooming like silver fire. But the sound was clear enough. 3 notes, a pause, a reply tap on her trunk. You're not the first to get that whistle, the trooper said. I've got a trucker from 2013 with a door scratched to primer and a dash cam that hears it too. Why doesn't anyone warn people? Mara asked. He stared past her at the ramp, the invisible line where his authority became someone else's. There are warnings, he said eventually. They just aren't in the same folder. It took Mara, not the agencies, to make the folders talk. She filed public records requests for every welfare check, abandoned vehicle, and assist motorist call between mile markers 186 and 188 over a decade. She color-coded them by time, weather, and which badge showed up. She mapped the missing persons against storms. When she put it all on a single grid, the pattern that would not exist on any one desk appeared as if someone had drawn it with a carpenter's pencil. 8 cases clustered like hail hits, nights with rain, windows between 2 and 4 a.m., calls logged as welfare checks because cars with hazards on are not crimes. In 6 of the 8, the first responding unit was not the one to take the report. In 4, the camera at the ramp was down for maintenance. In 3, a handwritten sign was mentioned by a witness. In 2, a flare. Mara isn't a cop. She's a barista who reads spreadsheets like other people read maps. She posted her grid to a forum for families of the missing. Within a week, 2 mothers and a sister messaged her privately with photos of cars under sodium light and open driver's doors. Tell me why the rain matters, one mother wrote. Because whoever this is needs smear and cover. They need your fingerprints to be nothing but water. Because whoever this is needs smear and cover, Mara typed. And because the rain makes everyone excuse the noise. The next message wasn't from a family. It was from a retired dispatcher named Henley who had worked nights for 2 decades. He told her he remembered the first empty car call like a pebble in a shoe. We cataloged them as assists, he wrote. But the ones that bothered me had the same little tells. The caller sounded calm, said they were fine, said someone was already helping, and then the line went quiet. Not a hang-up, like the mic got covered. 3 seconds later, 3 soft knocks. We used to joke our radios were haunted. Mara called him. He apologized before he started. We should have cross-referenced, but after midnight, it's dominoes. Drunks, deer hits, blown tires. An empty car is a future problem until it isn't. A tow operator named Cora messaged next. She'd been dispatched to exit 23 twice in 2015 and once in 2018. The first time, the call was canceled mid-route because a unit on scene had it handled. The second time, she ignored the cancellation and rolled anyway.
Triangle reflector was facing the wrong way, she said. It was angled toward the ditch, not the lane. That's not how a driver sets it. That's how someone sets it if they've never actually tried to keep themselves alive on a shoulder. At the truck stop, the night clerk, Val, remembered something else, something smaller. The cherry bombs, she said, sliding a rack of air fresheners back into the slot by the lotto stand. Rain nights, we sell a bunch of these and the big coffees. Guys come in, soaked to the bone, not truckers. They've got the gait. These guys walk like cops, or like they're trying to walk like cops. 2 hands free, eyes scanning. One wore those green gloves inside, said he had a cut. Who keeps gloves on to buy gum? Mara asked if the cameras worked. Val smiled without humor. They work great the week after a robbery, then we forget to replace the drive. She told Mara to come back after midnight if she wanted to hear the highway talk. You can tell the stories by the boots, she said. Steel toe means work, soft soles and perfect jeans mean show. The next storm was forecast for a Thursday. Mara texted the trooper who had met her at mile 190. His name was Alvarez. He wrote back faster than she expected. We're watching it too. Who's we? She asked. Depends what folder you open, he replied. Then, if you're coming out, you don't play hero. You park where I tell you. At 1:42 a.m., rain began fattening the air like static. Mara and her friend Kayla sat in Kayla's SUV at the way station. Thermoses steaming, scanner app rattling with static and code. She felt wired and stupid, brave and small. Alvarez knocked on the window and made her jump. He didn't scold. He handed them both cheap rain ponchos and a card with the direct line to dispatch. You do not roll up on the ramp. If we get a welfare call, we take it. If you see anything, you say what and where and you keep driving.
At 2:06 a.m., a sedan slid by the way station with its hazards on. Silver, no front plate, Kayla said, leaning over the wheel. Plenty of people lose those, Mara said, but her mouth had gone dry. Welfare check, exit 23, vehicle on shoulder, hazard lights, the scanner crackled. The dispatcher gave the mile marker. Caller says someone is helping, line went dead. 3 knocks? Kayla asked. Didn't hear them, Mara said. Alvarez lit up and pulled out. Mara's hands found the thermos and couldn't get the lid off. Do not go, Kayla said. I'm not, Mara said, and then they went anyway, but slow, 200 yards back, lights off, hugging the right lane as the rain braided into curtains. The ramp mouth glowed with the low burn of a flare. The triangle reflector sat 3 car lengths behind the silver sedan, angled wrong. A man in a new reflective vest leaned into the driver's window. His shoulder moved like he was talking. He held no umbrella. The second figure wasn't visible until Alvarez hit the takedowns and the night exploded white. He was at the rear quarter panel, one hand on the trunk, head bent, like he was listening to the metal. Driver, put your hands where I can see them, Alvarez's voice blew apart in the rain. The driver at the window did something Mara didn't expect. He didn't run. He stood up slowly, turned toward the cruiser, and raised his hands, palms empty, as if he'd been waiting for the cue. Then he whistled, 3 notes, neat and precise. The second man moved at the sound, stepped off the shoulder and disappeared over the guardrail in one quick, practiced pivot. Alvarez didn't hesitate. He angled toward the runner and the ditch. A second cruiser took the vest. Down, on your knees. The vest went to one knee and then to both, his eyes calm in the harsh light. Up close, the reflective tape refracted tears of white across his face, so you couldn't see his features clearly, just the planes and shadows. In that strobe-bright rain, he looked like every man and no man. You're interfering with a motorist, Alvarez said. Assisting, the vest replied. His voice stayed level and loud enough to ride the rain. Road conditions are poor. This driver almost sideswiped me. Name? Evan, and then a last name that would later trace to a deceased cousin. You state police? Keep your hands visible. The silver sedan's driver tried to open their door and failed, seatbelt still on, frozen by light and sound. Mara squeezed the steering wheel until her fingers hurt. Don't film, just watch. Past the guardrail, Alvarez's flashlight swung down the slope, through knotweed and beer cans and the slick back ribbon of a drainage ditch. The beam caught movement and then lost it in the belly of a culvert that swallowed sound and gave back only the metallic echo of the rain. "What's in the tote?" the second unit asked, dragging a plastic box from beneath the sign. This lid had bungee cords. Inside, a vest, 2 flares, green gloves, a roll of duct tape, and a Ziploc bag filled with cherry-scented wipes. "Stay with him," Alvarez said to the second unit and went for the culvert. The vest's face barely changed. He stared at the blue bars reflecting off wet asphalt. He hummed something under his breath. 3 notes, then a pause, then 3 more. The tune had no melody, just structure, like a code learned and repeated until it becomes a reflex. Back at the truck stop, Val would later tell Mara that he'd seen the pair for years. If that's them, he'd say, looking at the still from Mara's video, they come in after close calls. They stand by the scratch-offs and never buy one. They watch the door. In the culvert, Alvarez found a path. It wasn't a new path, but it was tended. Someone had laid scrap plywood across the water and wired a length of chain link to the roof as a handhold. On the far side, under the slope, wooden pallets formed a makeshift platform above the mud. There, in the damp and the drip, someone had lined up equipment as neatly as a tool bench. More vests, more gloves, a flashlight with a lens taped to a slit, 3 triangle reflectors, a can of spray adhesive, and a grocery bag of air fresheners in the same fake cherry scent Mara had smelled on the vest. "Found your folder," he said into the radio. "Repeat?" "Nothing. Send County," he said. "It's theirs down here." By dawn, the vest had a name that wasn't his and a story that didn't hold. The driver of the silver sedan went home shaking and did not want to talk. The culvert stash went into evidence lockers that would keep it until someone new cleaned out the shelves. The runner left only sneaker prints that filled with water and then with nothing. The rain slowed, and the highway went back to being a ribbon people forget. Mara's grid didn't forget. She added a column: whistle heard, yes, no. Knock heard, yes, no. Triangle orientation, normal reversed. She wrote in the margins, place of safety sign. She pulled business filings for companies with contracts to maintain that stretch. 2 were legitimate crews with paperwork and payroll. 1 a shell that bid and failed and then never dissolved. Its mailing address was a P.O. box registered out near the county line. Its principal's name matched the vest's claimed cousin. "Next time it rains," Alvarez told her, "stay home." "You'll be there," she said. "Not if the camera's down," he said, and smiled like it wasn't funny.
2 weeks later, the rain came back like a memory. Alvarez filed for a joint operation, city, county, state, and got a reply that read like a shrug. Mind the line, mind the budget. At 2:19 a.m., a rookie called in a welfare check at exit 23, voice steady, a little proud. Then the mic went muffled, and on the air you could hear 3 soft knocks. Mara was home, awake, watching the scanner, phone in her hand, breath held. She texted Alvarez 1 word, "Whistle?" He replied, "Camera down." The rookie's dashcam later showed a triangle set backwards and a cardboard sign that said, "Place of safety ahead," its marker ink bleeding from the rain. There was no arrest that night. There was no body. By dawn, the culvert was empty again, except for the cherry-sweet air and the faint print of a knee on a pallet, as crisp as a signature. Mara printed the rule on a single page and taped it above her desk. Do not stop at exit 23. She mailed copies to families, to clerks, to tow yards. She sent the grid to every reporter who'd listen. Some stories don't end. Some become precautions we say aloud. If you're near mile 187 after midnight, keep driving. Do not stop.